Hey, chiropractors, welcome to Modern Chiropractic Mastery with your host, Dr. Kevin Christie, where we discuss the latest in marketing, business, and professional growth with some of the leading experts in the industry. Welcome to another episode of Modern Chiropractic Mastery. This is your host, Dr. Kevin Christie, and today I'm bringing you a great interview. It's going to be a really nice conversation about digital marketing. We're going to touch on a lot of aspects of it. We really dive into some of the things that could separate you from everybody else. And I have Dr. Brian Paris as our expert today. He is a chiropractor, had a practice for many years, also a serial entrepreneur, working with multiple companies, but ultimately he is really doing a great job of creating content, shooting videos, and having a great online presence in a few different mediums. And we're going to dive into that. And I like to have this conversation every so often where we tackle the broad concept of digital media. It's ever changing. There's a lot of strategies around it. A lot of people will think YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, but what are you actually doing with the content that you're putting on there? How are you getting better at creating content? How are you positioning yourself as a thought leader? And Brian does a great job of doing that. It's pretty impressive, the audiences that he has built on different platforms and the ability he's having to position himself as an expert, which then allows him to do various things successfully. And so it really will translate into your private practice and your community, is where if you can do a really good job of this, even just in your community, not necessarily nationally or internationally, like myself or like Brian has, you do this in your community. It's amazing the opportunities that it opens up for you. And we dive into some of that today with Brian. And so I enjoyed it. He's got a wealth of knowledge, really a conversation that we don't have as much on this podcast as we used to, is just kind of diving into the marketing. And we've been doing a bit more of that recently. And I want you to start getting your creative juices flowing as you listen to this episode. All right, without further ado, here is my interview with Dr. Brian Paris. Before we get to today's show, I'm excited to tell you about a great product that will help your patients find quicker relief and help you get better outcomes. Stop Pain Clinical is a great way to provide a safe, effective pain relief alternative to NSAIDs and opioids while you diagnose and treat the underlying cause. It works on contact to provide fast, long-lasting pain relief from sprains, strains, bruises, arthritis, muscle aches, joint and back pain. How does it do that? Stop Pain Clinical has 10% menthol plus MSM and glucosamine. Great for joint pain. It is formulated with penetration enhancers and skin conditioners, so it works fast, feels great, and it is sweat resistant. And also the spray is awesome with kinesiology tape, so your athletes will love it. You can just spray that right on before you put the tape. Phenomenal combination. They also have this great new migraine and headache relief topical. I know I've been using it. My wife's been using it. You place a little bit of the cream right onto that deep occipital as the base of the skull. Really helps give you some relief from that unrelenting headache and migraine. So great for your patients. You can learn more about Stop Pain Clinical at stopa.in/MCM, and you get a free intro pack of Stop Pain Clinical products. Again, that's stopa.in/MCM. Great news too is Stop Pain Clinical topical analgesics are available exclusively through chiropractors and other healthcare professionals, so they have another great reason to visit you and tell their friends. All right, welcome to the show, Brian. I really appreciate your time today. I'm excited to dive in. I really enjoyed meeting you about 6 weeks ago at Jay Greenstein's event there. It was a pleasure to really talk shop and to get to know you. But tell us a little bit about yourself personally, professionally, and then we'll dive into our topic today.
All right. Well, thank you for having me, Kevin. I was super excited to meet as well, and just diving into the whole aspect of digital marketing, boots on the ground marketing, just everything marketing, advertising, and more so I would say the psychology behind persuasion and influence. That's what interests me the most in this portion of my career. Let's see. I was a practicing chiropractor for 10 years straight, a CBP chiropractor in Rockville, Maryland, and then for another 10 years switch gears and turn that into a multidisciplinary integrative clinic with chiropractic, physical therapy, acupuncture, regenerative medicine. That chapter ended, and now I've moved on to more consulting work. So I'm I stick and move or shuck and jive, whatever, however you want to say it. But
Yeah.
I'm currently working as VP of Business Development for Genesis Chiropractic Software, helping chiropractors
Mhm.
really leverage technology and also understand all the aspects of even marketing and operations and efficiencies to run their practice. And then I also work with a supplement company called the Healthy Back Institute, where uh, I'm Dr. Brian Paris
Yeah. Yeah.
and
No,
the
for
and the
sure.
brand guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's your, we were in this comment thread on Facebook about, I was talking about like some people are builders and some people are kind of maintainers. I'm a builder. I don't like to have to maintain for many, many years the same thing. And I kind of, you want to get to that next exciting thing to build. And that sounds like how you might be as well, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think, maybe it's our generation, and
Mhm.
I find chiropractors also, like, we're very similar in breed. Like, a lot of us
Mhm.
are ADD, we're movers. We were in the back
Yeah.
of the classroom going bonkers, yet
Mhm.
still paying attention, getting good grades. But like, we're a different type of human. We're
Yeah.
not the desk people. We're the movers, the shakers, the creators, the
Mhm.
builders, the visionaries. So yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. And today we're going to really we're going to dive into YouTube. You've done really well with that, but there's going to be some spokes off that on other aspects of marketing, and we're going to meander around a bit on this. And but ultimately, our audience they are mostly chiropractors. We do have some marketers on here, but the vast majority are chiropractors. And as you were saying, like a lot of these chiropractors. They have their practice and they're trying to do marketing for their patient base, but then a lot of them are trying to do something on the side, and it might be a little bit different. Something that we had earmarked in our pre-recording here was that you're kind of wearing two hats from a marketing standpoint. There's the B2B marketing, which would be just for audience built business to business, and then there's B2C, which is business to consumer. And I wear the two hats too, because I still have the private practice and do marketing and get patients in there. And then MCM, we're obviously marketing and chiropractors, and we work with chiropractors with other businesses. So tell me a little bit about the different mindset when you're switching from B2B marketing to B2C. Is there a little bit different? Maybe the runway of getting a lead to convert is longer, or any of those types of variables I'd love to hear about.
Yeah, for sure. And I also, I'm going to add, and I wear one more hat, which is performer, because I
Mhm.
do a ton of video content and actually have worked to sharpen that axe significantly through my own training. And in addition, I'm starting to really get a grasp on the whole editing process. Now, I'm not
Mhm.
sitting there editing, but I've got to manage some editors and things like that. So the difference in B2B and B2C, you know, because with Genesis, even though it's B2B,
Mhm.
I'm I'm dealing with direct chiropractors,
Mhm.
and I think it really comes down to understanding your audience, reading the room, and who is your avatar? Like, who are you marketing to? For Genesis, we are marketing to chiropractors who are
Mhm.
stressed with the overwhelming demands of a chiropractic practice, firsthand from it,
Mhm.
and really, from an insurance billings perspective, from a compliance perspective, retention, revenue. So I'm always looking at those buckets as to where some of your pain may be, and then how to relate to you from that perspective. Now, I'm also, which is really a benefit, I love the product. It's not
Mhm.
like I can't attach to something that I don't love.
Mhm.
So, I was a Genesis user. I love the team. I love the support. I love the systems and the way the company operates as well. So, when we're talking about B2B and B2C, I'm not, I wouldn't, I don't really know the difference. I think
Mhm.
you really just have to play to the audience and understand
Yeah.
who you're looking at. And in both, I take it back to all of my study of things like Dan Kennedy and psychology of influence and understanding people and really leading
Mhm.
with empathy all the time. It's like, how do I put myself in that person's shoes? So when I'm writing an email or when I'm doing copy, even my facial gestures. I'm not just reading copy like when I'm performing. I'm actually
Hmm.
thinking about how does this message land on somebody and how can I actually connect to someone through the camera
Hmm.
or through the voice or through the written word.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that a bit too, because we talk a lot with chiropractors about shooting some videos, and we tell them like you're not trying to be an A-list celebrity, but you can get a lot better, and it's just like anything else. Public speaking or even patient communication. That first week or first month or year on the job as a chiropractor, it's trepidation when you have to sit there and talk to patients all day long, and you get better at it, and you get really good. And so I think one of the take homes from today is that you're looking at this as a professional. Like, you're taking on something which is video creation, and you're looking at it like, look, I'm gonna, yeah, I'm a chiropractor by trade, and I've got this background, that, but I'm gonna take this head on and be a pro about it. So, how long have you been really shooting these videos and really building up this YouTube channel?
Oh, funny enough, I think it started when I was in elementary school. Because when I was in
Mhm.
elementary school, you had to be in the play. So
Mhm.
it wasn't like you chose to or not to. And then, I was like in plays and doing stuff like that up until seventh grade. And then I was like, oh, this isn't cool. I got to play lacrosse, or sixth grade, and I regret that.
Mhm.
However, as I got older and more secure in myself, I've dove into acting classes, improv classes. That was awesome. If anyone, like, if you're looking to sharpen your axe,
Mhm.
definitely take an improv class. It's great for memory. It's great for presence. It's great for just feeling comfortable in your own body. Cause I think that's really what performance and I don't want to say acting, because I'm never acting. I'm
Mhm.
embodying a presence, or I'm embodying something. So like that's a key element, is like if you are embodying yourself as a teacher, as a leader, as someone who's providing wisdom, always think about like how that's landing on somebody or how you can land it a little bit better. So I think it's even okay, like if you're new, like
Mhm.
read from a script. There's a lot of software out there. They have mirror software. You can put things on your laptop, where like just look on Amazon. They have things that you can do script reading and then
Mhm.
practice.
Mhm.
Practice in the mirror, practice. Literally, I sit there like a goofball before and like
Mhm.
tip of the tongue, like so I'm
Mhm.
like I'm doing these things because
Mhm.
I have to say really complicated words sometimes in the copy that I read. So, or in the scripts that I'm given. So someone like, if you haven't heard Roberto Monaco, he's a public speaking coach for
Mhm.
chiropractors. Absolutely fantastic. Dale Carnegie's course I've taken. So I've studied a lot, and
Mhm.
the key element is to watch yourself.
Yeah. Mhm.
I've like, so I forgot to mention, I've also done a TED talk too. So I did like very, very intensive training with that, with a
Mhm.
specific coach who helps you train for TED talk. So storytelling is critical, but when it comes to delivering performance, make sure that like I literally, for my TED talk, I designed the speech, I gave it, I recorded it, and then for months prior, I listened to it in the car every single time I was driving to work. So,
Yeah.
and then I watched myself on video. I practiced my performance. Where am I going to go on stage? Those are some more advanced things, but
Yeah,
yeah.
no, it's great. And I try to tell chiropractors, like, look, you have great conversations with your patients all the time. You're not weird about it. You're not awkward, most of them. And they look them in the eye and they have good educational based conversations with their patients. Like, that's literally all you have to do on camera as a chiropractor, and trying to educate your community, is to pretend it's not there. I mean, obviously you're going to get better at it, but just be an educator and really bring the goods, and you'll be effective. And again, we're not trying to necessarily make $1 million a year off ads on YouTube as a chiropractor, but there's so many benefits of video, and then there's so many benefits of YouTube. And so I want to talk about YouTube a little bit, because you got about 50,000 subscribers, which is really good, and a lot of your videos have a ton of views and downloads and all that. So that's remarkable. That doesn't happen overnight, for sure,
Thank
and
you.
and that's cool to see. You put the work in to do that.
For sure.
Um, and so with YouTube, what kind of length? I just want to start from the basics. What kind of length of videos are you typically doing for YouTube?
Well, I just want to mention one quick thing, because and this is
Absolutely.
specifically to us chiropractors.
Hmm.
When you're delivering things, I feel, and this has worked best for me, is that when there's a difference between when I share wisdom and knowledge versus when I'm teaching. So it just comes, it makes me calmer and able to be with people versus
Hmm.
talking to them or talking down to them. And
Hmm.
I even notice a difference in my face, like my forehead crinkles more when I'm
Hmm.
teaching versus when, just like right now, we're not on camera, but my forehead's
Hmm.
relaxed because we're having a
Hmm.
conversation.
Yeah.
So, but as far as the length of videos on YouTube, YouTube is a place for long form video.
Hmm.
So I use YouTube as the platform for that, and that's with the supplement work that I'm doing. So a
Hmm.
lot of those videos are geared towards. I have other stuff coming out soon that's more off the cuff, more movement stuff, breath work stuff, all of that. But the actual drive to some of those videos are, they're geared towards specific topics. Like I talk about kale versus chocolate, or pain lessons that you get from the Bible. So some of them are pretty creative, and they're,
Hmm.
I would say that they are clickbaity, some of them,
Hmm.
because I'm working with a supplement company, and I'm the goal is to break through the stigma of big pharma and get people to really click on this so they can get deeper into the funnel. So
Hmm.
YouTube is just the start. That brings them into the funnel. And
Yep.
then all the other content, we use that as long form, and then we're working on chipping down all those little pieces to use other social platforms to drive back to YouTube.
Perfect. And I want to get a little bit of a definition for our audience because you mentioned it pre-recording was direct response marketing, which is a goal of what you're doing there. And what is that for our audience?
It means that whatever ad you put out there, you're going to get some kind of a response to the ad. Very different than branding, right? Like companies like Nike or Amazon, like literally all they have to do is put that smile on the truck on the road and it's branding, right? But it's
Hmm.
not getting you to click on something and respond. The grandfather of direct response marketing is Dan Kennedy, and I believe ClickFunnels, was it Russell Brunson that bought his company? And I've read tons of his textbooks. I've read ton of his materials. I've been studying Dan Kennedy, for probably 20 years,
Hmm.
and it 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 permeates everything that I do, from
Yeah.
emails to just a blog
Hmm.
to how I'm speaking with people. Funny enough, my daughter is becoming a PR and marketing major. That's what she's studying in college.
Hmm.
And it's really like she didn't become a chiropractor because she
Hmm.
saw who I became in the latter part of my career. And that's when, and she kind of mirrored what I was doing. And it's cool to see it from a academic perspective, how she's learning it. And they're breaking it down a little more basic, but I'm like, hey, read this book, read this book, read this book. And she's like, Dad, I don't have time. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So yeah, direct response, and then you got your branding. We teach a lot about content marketing, which is going to really be about content, and then there's going to be definitely you want to have some direct response tied into that as well. So that's
Well, with
great. And
with
yeah,
with with that, Kev, with the direct response,
mhm,
it's worth it to hire somebody who knows what they're doing in that world. And there's a lot of
mhm,
copywriters out there, and the good ones are expensive.
yeah,
And it's worth it to study it because you can change your click-through rate by 20 to 30% just by putting a comma in one place
mhm,
over another. It's insane how
yeah,
deep this psychological study has gone into marketing and advertising and what's allowed on Facebook, what's allowed on Google, and the restrictions,
mhm,
words you can and cannot use. But it's not just about a picture or anything. It's the copy. It's what people are seeing and reading and how it's getting into their brains.
yeah. No, absolutely, no doubt about it. All right, Docs, here is a new opportunity for you from Darcy Sullivan of Propel. She is our SEO specialist in helping out many chiropractors with their search engine optimization and making sure Google is finding you and getting you new patients. It's amazing how many new patients chiropractors can get and are getting when they do the SEO right and a few other things. And Darcy is offering a free SEO workshop just for chiropractors, and you can sign up for that at bit.ly/propelmcm. That is bit.ly propelmcm, modern chiropractic marketing, right? And so check out that link. And we're going to have you go over 5 SEO secrets to owning the first page of Google without buying ads. And Darcy's going to give that free workshop, 1 hour, to really help grow your practice and start churning new patients from the ever mighty Google, which is still king in the online marketing. So check that out at bit.ly/propelmcm for the 1 hour free workshop. What are some of your recommendations for YouTube for chiropractors? So let's say we're trying to build our chiropractic practice, and we're going to use YouTube. What do you recommend? What are some of the benefits of YouTube? I'd love to hear that.
I like the idea of breaking down the whole process, but chunking it. Like, what's it
Mhm.
like to be a new patient in our office? Let me take you on a tour on our office. Let me show you what an adjustment looks like. And definitely not all in one video, but you
Mhm.
can find people from Fiverr or other less expensive film people. I mean, if you want, do it on your iPhone because those things film movies. It's insane.
Mhm.
But I would walk through the entire process, like literally from start to finish. And now, like, where my brain goes in Genesis, you could create a task checklist that goes through that
Mhm.
entire list as well. Does it look like why am I showing you the x-rays? If you're a doctor who takes x-rays, why am I taking x-rays, and what are we going to see on those x-rays?
Mhm.
What's an MRI? Think about the questions that patients ask you every single day. You have all of that data. You don't have to think about anything. You don't have to think about some magical topic. You get the questions asked you every day. Just answer the questions that the patients want to know. Tell me about insurance. That's a great one,
Yeah.
because patients are confused about it. What the hell's a copay? What's a coinsurance? What's the difference between deductible,
Mhm.
coinsurance, copay? Like, those videos would be amazing, especially coming from the face of the practice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually taught this lesson at our mastermind one weekend, and then also in our coaching group. But there's an old book from like the early 1900s called Obvious Atoms. It wasn't a book; it was like an editorial, but they turned it into a small book. And the guy's first name wasn't obvious. I think it was Oliver. It started with a, but he was a very, very successful copywriter, and
Mm-hmm.
just did really good. And he got the nickname Obvious Adams because all of his copy just really hammered the obvious things that were benefits, like these overt benefits that a lot of people, it's not sexy sometimes, there's this whole story they go through with it. It's not sexy, but it means something. And I was teaching chiropractors like, look, what are some of the obvious things that we do that really would resonate with someone? And an example would be, Brian, would be um, how often do people have some kind of musculoskeletal condition and they go to the primary care doctor? Then that primary care doctor refers them to the orthopedic specialist. Then that orthopedic specialist sends them to MRI, nothing on the MRI, sends them to physical therapy. So it was like 4 visits in 3 weeks or 4 weeks before they actually started getting evaluated or treated, right? And so an obvious benefit of what we do as chiropractors is like, look, for most practices, I can't speak to all, but we're going to evaluate you and treat you on the same day. And we're going to get
Mm-hmm.
you in the same week, right? That's like an obvious benefit of what we do. I know there's some chiropractors that may not treat until the second visit, but you get the point. And so we started like going through like, what is the obvious benefits, right? One thing we talk about in my clinic is we don't call it the waiting room. It's the reception area because you don't wait in our office like you do in these other doctors' offices, right? So based on what you're saying and your idea there, you could start to cherry pick some of these obvious benefits and shoot videos on it.
Well, and I think, and some of the objections as well, like speaking to the objections, the biggest one being teaching lifestyle versus treatment,
Mhm.
because chiropractors are different. We know, and it's a hard sell, obviously, or more challenging to sell the public. The dentist got it right, but they
Mhm.
only have to treat your teeth every 6 months to call it hygiene. And I think one of the benefits of what we do as chiropractors is that, we use movement and adjustments as a diagnostic tool. It's
Mhm.
not like we're looking to fix you on the first visit, but like if you can't move, or we're going to test these movements. But from a marketing perspective, I love handling the objections. And I think
Mhm.
that makes it easier, as well as organizing this content. So if you don't have an email system or a text system, like all this shit should be feeding. Oh, sorry, I didn't know if we could
Oh, you're
curse
right. You
it.
can. No worries.
So all this stuff should be feeding the patient base, so that
Mhm.
you start to drip market, or you're starting to get the idea in their brain. if you ever saw the movie Focus with Will Smith, right,
Hmm.
where they talk about where they're convincing people to bet on a certain number. It's like you gotta be top of consciousness for people in all of their decisions, and that also relates to retention, right? It's not just about getting them in the door and the first initial visit, but what happens over a lifetime, because we know that chiropractic is a lifestyle, not just
Hmm.
an immediate treatment paradigm.
Yeah, to your point, we've talked to some chiropractors that have shot a very nice, professionally done welcome video that every new patient gets before
Yep.
they come in. And then one thing that we're actually doing now in our practice, which I'm enjoying, is there's an app called Bonjoro, and you can shoot a quick, like, 45 second, it could be 30, it could be 60 seconds, whatever. It's a quick welcome video and it's tailored to them. So I'll get on my cell phone and, have a nice backdrop and everything. Say, hey, Brian, it was nice to see you in the office yesterday. I hope you're doing pretty good from your first treatment. Remember to do some of those at-home exercises. I just kind of like, and it's tailored to them. So it's not like
Uh,
a canned video. The welcome video is for new patients. That's like just giving you the basics. But now, after that first visit and before they come in for their second, they're getting this VMET. What happens is you put the email in the app and then you shoot the video right through the app and then it sends via email. And then
that's
the
awesome.
video is like embedded into the email of that person.
And that's Bonjour, Bonjour? I'll look it up. But I mean, it's
Yeah,
so cool
yeah,
talking to minds in this business, because we went
yeah,
to Jay's seminar. I learned about like 9 different apps that I could be using for
yeah.
AI and different things like that. So does that add, or excuse me, does that video, can you record it, or it goes directly to the patient? So you just get the app and you shoot it out there.
Yeah, you just shoot out there and it's Bonjoro,
Okay.
Bonjoro. And
Brilliant.
the idea of that video, not the app, but the video was from Joey Coleman when I had
Hmm.
him on my podcast. I mean, obviously he wrote the book on customer experience and so then the app was been something that really facilitates that pretty well. So
Yeah, and I think you that as a follow through, like congratulations on making it to your re-exam, or if you take post X-rays, like nice work on your films, or like not
yep.
films, but great results, or
Hmm.
congrats on your lacrosse game that you won, something like that. I think the
Yep.
more touch points we have, and that was something I took from Joey. We send texts and videos to our family,
Hmm.
but we don't send them to our patients.
Yep.
So, if you're not sending them to your patients, then you're not treating them like family.
Yep.
So, and then it's like you see the consequences there.
Yeah, we text our patients as well through we use Review Wave.
Yeah.
But yeah, two-way texting is which is great. So yeah, using video for that patient experience is huge and it will help with adherence, which is awesome. And then YouTube, obviously people sometimes forget it's owned by Google. And so you get more videos on there. I'm sure who helps your Google presence.
Yes.
And I guess YouTube is the second largest search engine out there now too, right?
Well, and that becomes important also in hashtag research, as
Hmm.
well as if you're going to embed those videos onto a blog page, which I suggest doing, because we were just talking about that earlier in pre-show. Because what happens if YouTube cuts you off, right? And because that can happen. Like I've seen multi-million-dollar businesses get shut down overnight because they were dependent on Instagram or YouTube, and they just so I definitely would suggest to take those videos and embed them. If you're going to use YouTube, that's fine, or Vimeo.
Mhm.
Get them on your website as a blog page, and make sure that that blog page is coded and has the appropriate relevant content, so that you can create backlinks and then connect them to your audience, or your people in your sphere of influence, whether it's on the internet or local.
Mhm.
Like, let's say, for example, you have a relationship with an attorney. You guys should be sharing blogs back and forth, because that's going to help
Mhm.
your presence on and with SEO.
Yeah, one thing we've done in our website and we recommend for chiropractors is we embed YouTube videos into our website for things like we have a library of services pages. Or well, let me backtrack. We have a library of conditions pages. We have a fair amount of services pages. We haven't got the videos on there yet, but that's in the works now. But it took us a little while, but we shot these really nice 10-minute YouTube videos on these different conditions. I think we got like 30 different ones on our website, and
That's awesome.
each condition has a page. It's got about 1,000 to 1,500 written words, and then it has a YouTube video embedded on there showing us how we evaluate and treat and some correctives and some information on that condition and embedded on there. So we're trying to make our website a content hub. And to your point, it's that rented land versus owned properties. Like your website is your owned properties, and you want to build that hub for you. And then everything else is a spoke off that. And some of those are rented properties like a YouTube, or like we're seeing a lot of chiropractors with TikTok, right? That's a
Mhm.
perfect example of like that thing could go away in the United States any month now.
Yeah,
And there's
that's a conversation, topic of conversation every day.
it is, yeah. And there's a lot of chiropractors that have built their following only on TikTok and they're not doing
It's funny.
anything to
I can't tell you how many general public people, like if I'm at like one of my kids' sporting events and I tell them I'm a chiropractor, like, oh my God, I'm addicted to watching the adjustments on blah, blah, blah. So
Mhm,
I think that's a good idea as well on the social media and to build, if you feel comfortable doing that and the
mhm,
patients say that it's okay, I think that's a great call to be able to share some of the treatments, like whether you're doing cupping, dry needling,
mhm.
stretching, rehab, adjusting, traction, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like it's not like you can't do things on these rented properties. It's just make sure that you're also building your email list, your website, your physical mailing list. Those are things you technically own. You
Yes.
may not own that address where they live, but you can always send them stuff. And so I think that's just something that chiropractors have to really be cognizant of.
Yeah.
And so I want to segue a little bit on that is YouTube, you're doing a lot of great things there. Are you doing some strategies to get them to more owned properties?
Yes, we are. And that's with the supplement company that I'm working on because that's an intelligent strategy that I've just learned pretty recently because of what can happen to a business overnight. And
Mhm,
it can like you if you because there's many businesses out there that are driving all of their customers to a web page through their YouTube ads or YouTube
mhm,
videos. But again, if they get shut down on YouTube overnight, business done.
yeah,
So I like the idea of, you know, building on your rented property and also, keeping in mind a longer term strategy
mhm,
is to, develop your owned property as well. And it's
yeah,
digital real estate. That's what we're talking about because that's what it is. And like your website needs to be a sales tool. And if it's
mhm,
not updated, it doesn't even have to, like I've seen the fanciest websites, they're great, but
mhm,
it just has to have the right copy. Now, I
mhm,
don't like a website because you've seen the ones that are video sales letters and they're 45
yeah,
pages long. Like for myself personally, I love embedded videos of doctors and social proof, like a ton of
mhm,
testimonials. The more testimonials you can get, the better. Like that should be a task checklist for you because that's my Genesis plug again, is like,
mhm,
plug that in every time someone comes to a re-exam, they should be given a testimonial. And you
mhm,
get that, like get the testimonial room set up. I used to have a background for like I'm sitting. Well, you can't see it on this podcast, but where it was a logo background, and
yeah.
I bought a screen and I put it up, and I would do as many testimonials as possible. The more testimonials you get, the better. Same with on your Google My Business page.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And so I want to kind of put you on a spot here a little bit. You owned a
Sure.
practice for 20 years. You got a ton of experience in that. If you were to, because again, our audience is mostly chiropractors and they're trying to build their practice. Some of them from scratch, some of them are been doing it for a bit, but need to breathe some life into it, right? If you
Yeah.
were opening up a new practice right now, what are some of the things you would really do from a marketing perspective to really grow that thing? Not it's not going to happen overnight, but like to get it done pretty efficiently. How would you do it?
Um. Well, that's such a great question, man. I mean, definitely SEO is a long play.
Yep.
So investing in search engine optimization because all the people are looking for condition specific things like back pain, neck pain, leg pain and what I mean by optimization is
Mhm,
optimizing it to your zip code and the surrounding zip codes.
mhm,
That's one piece. And I'm not going to put importance or relevance over another. Um, but I mean, because I think you have to do all of these.
yep.
Everything matters.
Mhm, mhm,
Boots on the ground.
yep.
Chunk your schedule so that you have days for marketing, whether it's a networking group, going out and giving talks. That's why training and public speaking becomes critical for chiropractors, because one, we all have to unite to put the message out there. Because if we're, we just don't have the marketing and the power of pharmaceutical, and that's one of our biggest adversaries, so to speak. Um, you know, I think if you have it in your budget, you can do some paid ads. I'm not
Mhm.
as big of a fan of those. I
Mhm.
would I would say in the beginning, just to save yourself some money, really get good at developing content about your practice, about your objections, about the things that are most important to you, why you're in this game. Make it personal. Just like with Joey's book, like How to Never Lose a Customer. Like if you haven't read that book, like get it today. And just those things of making you relatable to people. Most
Mhm.
most people love their chiropractor. Like, we are relatable people. We're
Yeah.
people. We're not white coat doctors.
Mhm.
We want to give hugs and handshakes and high fives and show up to someone's lacrosse game. Like, that's what most of us are about. So, like, being able to um, disseminate that through all of your media, from your website. And remember, like, your website is a sales tool. It's not an
Mhm.
information page. It's a sales tool. So you got to have calls to action, testimonials, social proof all over it. Paid ads gets a little frustrating because, like, I don't like the specials, the 49.95
Yeah.
special. And, like, there are
Mhm.
marketing groups that say do that, but then, like, you're getting cold leads.
Mhm.
Also, critical overlooked element, I know we're coming up on time, is phones. No
Mhm.
matter how good your marketing is, if it's landing on someone who doesn't have training in phones, and I
Mhm.
like to call it give good phone. And I didn't even tell you about that I do consulting for phone training as
There you
well. And
go.
I call my program Give Good Phone. I probably stole that from somebody, but at a certain point, we were doing anywhere between 60 to 100 new patients a month. And
Mhm.
I had a dedicated person who was trained in, I would say radical empathy, but
Mhm.
fast.
Yeah.
Learning how to develop rapport fast, get the information, get the appointment closed.
Mhm.
And many times, like, we got unsolicited response, like, "Oh my God, I want to meet Ashley." I'm like, "Well, you can't. She lives in Utah." So making, because, like, a lot of chiropractors, we're like stretched, right? So your front
Yeah.
desk person is checking three people in and trying to talk to a new patient on the phone. So you have to handle that bottleneck, because you're going to lose all the money that you're putting into marketing. So
Mhm.
phone training is critical. Don't overlook that.
Yeah, it's huge, and we're hitting that hard in our clinic. And there's a company called the Scheduling Institute, which talks about that
Fantastic. Yep.
extensively. And so I've
And
actually had
they
them.
yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's right. I've had them in my office with training for that. So
Me too.
it
Me too. And they do the ghost calls and
yeah.
everything. So and like, one of the hardest parts for, I would say mid-level staff is actually listening to themselves. But I got our
Mhm.
people, like, you got to listen to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be able to train in that way.
Yeah, and I want to go back to your, the communication part, like public speaking and getting better at that. Because what happens when you do get better at it, and we've talked about it a little bit, but it tackles three things. One, obviously, you can go out and public speak and be effective. Two is you can get on video and be effective, like we've talked about. But the third is it actually gets you better with patient communication, and you're now having more effective conversations with patients, and that's going to help with everything, as we know. And so I think those new DCs or some that haven't polished this up is get better at it. It's going to
Uh,
serve you in so many aspects.
I would stretch that even further to say that it's going to help you in your personal relationships as well, when you can communicate from the heart and clearly
Mhm.
and concisely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so I think, communication is a bedrock, right? And then
Yeah.
everything else kind of comes from there. So,
Yes, sir.
well, this was fun, man. I just love chatting about marketing. I think
Yeah.
chiropractors are starting to realize, our audience is a lot of the evidence-based chiropractors, and a lot of them look at marketing as a dirty word, and I get it. And they want to have their, doctor title and put a shingle up and be loaded with patients, but it just doesn't work that way. And so we try to present them with some really good marketing ideas, and just some strategies around that. And I appreciate your wisdom in doing that for us today.
Thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate the work that you're doing out there, because you're coming from um, I'll use this quote. I think Mike Tyson said it. He said, life isn't about being humble. It's about being humbled.
Mhm.
And you got to be willing to get kicked in the teeth with your marketing. And I also, come from that perspective of buy until you buy or die. It's like keep marketing until someone tells you to fuck off,
Yeah.
and it relatively tactfully. But thank you for what you're doing out in the field, because we need more brothers and sisters like yourself who are putting out like intelligent, digital marketing, boots on the ground marketing, just from the whole perspective. Love what you're doing.
Definitely. And if our audience wanted to reach out to you, how could they find you?
Well, my website's drbrianparis.com, or they can find me on YouTube at Dr. Brian Paris, or on Instagram at Dr. Brian Paris.
Perfect. We'll get those in the show notes. And again, thanks for your time. And I'm sure we'll see each other again in the near
Yes, sir.
future.
Thank you, Kevin.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And if you want to make the shift from busy, broke, and broken to time-free and cash confident, or you just want to continue with the exponential growth, check us out at modernchiropracticmarketing.com. Look at the MCM Mastery tab, watch the short video on there, and check out what we are doing now for evidence-informed chiropractors. We are equal parts coaching and marketing done for you. Yes, you shoot some videos, we help you with campaign strategies and ideas and really become a thought leader in your community. You shoot those videos, you send them to us, we produce, edit, and brand them to you. Then we distribute them through all of your channels. We also take them and we turn it into one good blog per month. And every other month, we have Darcy Sullivan producing a robust blog with a topic that you pick from her database to help with your SEO. So we essentially become your content marketing agency to make sure your practice is always having ethical, elegant content marketing to help grow your practice. On the coaching side, we also help you with everything from marketing ideas to business, communications, finances, anything practice growth, and really try to help prevent you from being stuck on that island. And we hold you accountable. We have a great group of doctors that are just doing amazing things, and we look forward to help you out to take that next step in your practice. So again, check us out at modernchiropracticmarketing.com and learn more.